Yo, what's up guys? How you doing? It is great to see you back once again. It has been a really busy week this week. I've done so much stuff. I'll get you guys caught up in just a moment. It is also incredibly hot today, so I'm going to try and get this done as quickly as possible so I don't melt in this room. But despite the fact that I was out all day yesterday, it is of course time for another weekly reset. So, what have I been up to this week? Well, thank you for asking. I was out earlier in the week going to a Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate event, had a chance to check out the game on Switch and just basically sit down, chat with the community, have some free drinks. It was good fun. Then I also had a chance to check out Dead Cells this week. That game, I know it's been in early access for PC for quite a while, but it's only just coming out on Switch next week, and that game is incredible. If you guys haven't checked it out, click the card up here. I did a video on it with my first impressions. I honestly can't stop talking about this game. I'm kind of having to hold myself back from playing it right now because I'm playing it on PS4 for review purposes, but I'm going to start again on Switch, and I really don't want to lose all my progress, so I'm kind of just holding on until it comes out for Switch next week. But either way, really good game. And then just yesterday, I was over doing some filming and a live stream for HP Omen for their esports report. Some of you guys might have caught that live. If you did, thank you for dropping by, but otherwise, I'll probably drop that on the channel later on in the week for you guys to check out. However, in today's show, we also have some exciting stuff to talk about. Of course, this weekend, it is EVO 2018. So for those of you guys that are fighting game fans, this is your chance to see some top quality gameplay and also get some spicy announcements. We'll speak about that in a moment. There's also some news for BioWare fans, fans of Mass Effect and Dragon Age. We got some information on Pokemon Let's Go, some more footage to look over, and also a little bit of information on some potential for, re-emerging Capcom IPs from the past. So we'll talk about that in the news segment. On the late to the party front, I finally got a chance to jump back in and start playing Enter the Gungeon again this week in light of the most recent DLC update. And for the tech front, I managed to pick up the old/new Duke Xbox controller for the Xbox One. So, lots of cool stuff to talk about. If you guys do enjoy today's show, then a like would be super appreciated. Comment down below, let me know what you guys think, but let's get started. First up for the news this week, it is of course EVO 2018 this weekend. So many awesome fighting game tournaments going on, loads of cool gameplay for you guys to watch. If you haven't seen the streams or you haven't been watching or you're not planning on watching the streams, what are you doing? You can find them linked down below. There's various different EVO streams, whether you want to watch Smash Brothers, Street Fighter, Tekken, Dragon Ball Fighters, Guilty Gear, loads and loads. I'm personally really looking forward to the Smash Bros and the Guilty Gear matches because I've been playing a lot of Guilty Gear recently, so I kind of want to sort of watch some of those and see if I can pick up some tricks. And also Dragon Ball Fighters just because it's always going to be over the top. Either way, really cool. But on the news front, there are going to be some spicy announcements dropped during the show. Now, obviously, I make this show on a Saturday, so at the time of recording this, they haven't dropped just yet, but Mark Julio, who is the global biz dev for EVO, put out a tweet saying that they're going to have a number of world premiere announcements during the show. Now, in previous years, we've had like character reveals for things like Street Fighter. In light of the fact that Super Smash Bros. Is coming out this year, I would love it if we could get a character announcement at the show, maybe also some character announcements for Soul Calibur. Of course, there are still more characters we're hoping to have return, maybe some more characters for Jump Force, things like that. So there are plenty of opportunities to drop some really cool announcements, and of course I will be tweeting them and of course sharing them over on social media as and when they go live. So if you guys want to catch them, you can follow me on Twitter, but otherwise perhaps we'll catch up on that in next week's episode. But either way, if you guys want to catch them and you want to watch some awesome gameplay, then do not miss EVO this weekend. Moving on from there, if any of you guys are fans of Dragon Age or Mass Effect, then good news. This week, BioWare dropped a blog post, and for the most part, they were speaking about Anthem. They were talking about, the reception, some of their plans for later in the year, some of the shows they've attended, but they did round out the blog post by saying, if you are a fan of Dragon Age or Mass Effect, they are working on some stuff for you. They said they have some secret teams hidden away working on some stuff, but they're not ready to talk about it just yet. Obviously, their focus right now is on Anthem, so they're not going to try and sort of confuse the messaging by talking about other stuff, but rest assured, those other IP are still in the works. If I had to hazard a guess, I'd say maybe they're going to try and prep those for, say, 2020, when you have the rumored new generation consoles dropping, but either way, only a small nugget of information, but still something to hold on to. Also in a very similar vein, Capcom this week in another shareholder conference call they had, there was a Q&A segment, and off the back of talk on Resident Evil 2 Remaster, or the remake, which they already expect to be a million-seller game, they did also say they are exploring the possibility of remastering and re-releasing, remaking some of the other previous Capcom IP. You know, their back catalogue, they have lots of cool titles, things that would be great to bring back. So in light of what they've been doing with Resident Evil 2, this is something they are exploring. Obviously no specifics right now, they didn't hint at any particular games, but it is something that is on their radar. Now for me personally, I would love it if they brought back Lost Planet 2. I mean, to be clear, a new game would be far more exciting. But hey, if you're going to give me Lost Planet 2 HD, throw it on Switch, I will be completely cool with that. Love that game. What about you guys? If there are any particular Capcom IP you would love to see come back, let me know in the comments below. And then finally, for the Pokemon fans out there, a little bit more information on Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. This week, the Pokemon Company dropped a few videos of the Pokemon following you around the world. Now, if you've seen the trailer, you'll of course know that alongside either Pikachu or Eevee sitting on your shoulder or your hat, you can also have one of your team follow you in the game. And I've always loved this in Pokemon games. I think it's just adds so much more character to it. So depending, of course, who you have with you, we've seen some videos in the trailers, but in these individual videos they released, they called out a few particular ones. You have Onix, which is so incredibly huge that you have to ride on top of it. You have things like Golem or Electrode, who just roll behind you like the balls that they are. You have Caterpie, who is so small and so slow that he actually struggles to keep up with you, so you kind of have to stop and let him catch up. And then you have Venusaur, which seems to have torn the internet apart. People seem to be completely divided right now because Venusaur moves like this. He basically moves like a frog or a toad. And when you look at him in, character design and whatnot, he basically is a toad with some plants on the back. He's got the kind of warts and whatnot. So, it sort of makes sense. But I guess because nobody's ever seen him move like this, they kind of just didn't really come to terms with it. So yeah, it's kind of been a funny thing. Obviously, it's really cool to see. Where do you guys stand on the Venusaur camp? Is this weird for you? Are you like, why is he moving like this? Should he not be moving just individual limbs independently, or are you completely fine with this? Either way, that's it for the news. Now, this week, in truth, I haven't had a chance to play a great deal of different games. I spent a lot of time, of course, juggling Behemoth, and also playing Dead Cells for the video, but on top of that, I did get a chance to jump back in, finally, and play some Enter the Gungeon. Now, this is a game that I downloaded quite a while ago. Of course, it launched way back in 2016 on PC. It launched on Xbox One earlier in the year in 2017, and then at the end of the year on Switch in 2017 as well. So I picked it up way back at the beginning of the year, but more recently they have had another free DLC, the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, which added a ton more content, so I thought it was finally time to jump back in. Now, if you guys don't know about this, it is another roguelike game, only this one is a top-down dungeon crawler, and it is just incredibly good fun. It's one of those games that you can quite easily just jump into and play for, say, 20 minutes, half an hour if you only have a short break, but at the same time, if you really want to go deep on it, you can just sit there for hours on end, trying to get as far as possible. Now, if you guys, don't necessarily know about it, then you pick one of these different characters. There's, different characters you can choose from based on the loadouts they have, and you can also play the game co-op with another player on the same system if you want to, but you pick your character, you run through the dungeon, of course you take out all the enemies, who are actually, rather interestingly, bullets or bombs or other kind of ammunition-inspired enemies, because obviously you're in a gun dungeon, or a gungeon, so I'm liking the pun there. But of course, on top of that, you then work your way through, you grab those different weapons, you unlock different chests, you unlock different doors, going through finding keys, and then you find yourself at a boss room, you take out the boss ideally, and you then keep progressing as far as you can. But the more likely story is that somewhere along the lines, you're also going to die. And then, of course, in true roguelike nature, you go back to the beginning and you start again. You lose everything. You lose your weapons, you lose all your stats, everything like that, and you start fresh. But because of the way the game is created, because it's so fast-paced, so quick and whatnot, you can really, really easily just jump straight back in. So the second you die, you can just quickly jump back in instead of having to go back to what they call the breach, which is where you can choose your characters, and then immediately you're back in the action. And because of that, it kind of has that addictive nature again. The same sort of thing that I said with Dead Cells in my video earlier on, you die and very quickly you're back in the action and you just already want to go. It's not like one of those things where death is like, oh, I've lost so much progress, I can't really bother to do this, I'll come back to this next week. This is one of those ones where, yes, you do still lose progress if you die, but because it is so quick in nature, because it feels more like an arcade game, you're very happy to just jump back in. Gameplay wise, of course, it has bullet hell aspects, so there's definitely a lot of sort of like fast reactions required, and when you're in some of those bigger boss battles, the bullet patterns do get really manic. But when you factor in the awesome boss designs, the really cool enemies, and the huge range of weapons, it is just incredibly fun. It's one of those things where every single run is different. Every time you go back in, the dungeon is randomly generated, so your pathway won't always be the same. You'll have different weapons, you'll find different weapons, you might get unlucky and not find many weapons at all, making your life a little bit harder, but the point is, every single run feels different. You can actually kind of see all the different weapons you've unlocked as you progress through the game. You can unlock more back at base once you rescue an NPC, so there's actually like a lot of progression you can do, but still, regardless, every time you go back in, it is still a fresh start. But I had a lot of fun with this one. It's actually my friend that introduced me to it, and the very first time I played it in co-op. There's loads of sort of small, subtle things as well, like you can run around and you can flip up tables and hide behind them to sort of defend you, which is kind of useful when you have bullet hell, but it's also just like a really fun, subtle mechanic you wouldn't think present in a kind of a top-down game like this. And just the movement and the weapon choices, they are all going to heavily change the way that you play. Some of the weapons, I picked one up today, where like the more you hold it down, it can basically make you fly through the levels, so you can almost use it as like a means to speed run through certain areas. I actually had to use it on the boss because I ran out of ammo at one point, but either way, it's a lot of fun. And it's kind of this sort of running theme for me right now, because I'm busy, because I'm sort of like juggling a lot of things right now, or because I've kind of been going to events, then at the moment, the things that I'm playing outside of the stuff that I cover tends to be games that I can pick up quite quickly. So, you know, I haven't had a chance still to jump into something like Octopath Traveler, but I have had a chance to jump back in and play things like Dead Cells and Enter the Gungeon, because, you know, if I do have that half an hour break of sort of taking like a little sort of chill time in the garden, then I can jump out and play it. So yeah, a lot of fun. If you guys haven't played it, it is a great game. It's available on different platforms, but I do really enjoy it at Switch because, of course, it's portable, I can play it quickly, and I can take it where I go. And again, as mentioned, at the end of last month, they dropped a new free DLC pack, which adds, I think it's about 30 new weapons, new maps, new bosses, just like everything you enjoyed from the game before, more of it, and free. This week, in gaming tech, I went and picked up the HyperX Duke controller for the Xbox One. It goes for around $69.99 in the UK, $79 if you are in the US. And this is essentially a modern day throwback to the original Duke controller. Now, I didn't actually have the original Xbox One back in the day. I was actually on GameCube, but I had a lot of friends that had the Xbox. I played on it. And if you guys had the original Xbox, you will know it was famous for the massive monstrosity that was the Duke controller. It was huge, it was ridiculously big, and HyperX thought it'd be a great idea to bring it back as a modern day version for Xbox One. This is what it looks like, and I'm not gonna lie, it looks pretty cool. I know it might not exactly be the first choice when it comes to picking up a controller, especially when you consider how good the Xbox One controller is. It's probably one of my favourite controllers right now, alongside the Switch Pro controller, but there's something kind of nice just about picking up the old chunky controller and just sort of having that throwback retro feel, especially when you factor in all the backwards compatible games that are coming to Xbox One. If you go and grab sort of, you know, some classic older games from the Xbox, then maybe you might want to pick this up and just, you know, play it for old time's sake. Now, for those of you guys that want to know a little bit more about it, it is, of course, a modern version. So in the center, you do have this little digital LED screen that actually has the original Xbox startup animation. So you can press it, it doubles as the home button or the Nexus button. So when you want to go home on Xbox One, you can just press it, but every time you do press it, it plays that startup animation, which is kind of cool. It also has the typical face button layout. It has the triggers from before, they're precision triggers. They have added bumpers to factor in that you might be using on Xbox One. So it has got LB and RB buttons, but the front buttons as well, the white and the black ones above A, B, X, and Y, do also function as shoulder buttons as well. So if you don't want to press the ones on the shoulders and you want to press them on the front, then that's obviously an option. It's got vibration in it as well, but it is just pad vibration. You don't have trigger vibration as well. So I feel like they kind of missed a trick there a little bit. It would have been nice to have that as sort of the extra level, but either way, it's just got basic pad vibration. It does have a 3.5mm jack if you want to, of course, play it with a headset, so you can then chat to people. And on top of that, it also has a 9-foot long cable, which you can use to charge it, but it is a detachable cable, so it's not hardwired in. So all up, it's a pretty nice product. It is quite chunky to hold, as is to be expected. It does take a little bit of getting used to as well because of the additional bumpers. If you do plan to use it on an Xbox One game that actually has bumper functionality, then holding the triggers and the bumpers kind of felt a little bit clunky because obviously, you know, it wasn't necessarily designed with that in mind. So whenever I play Xbox One, I typically dance between bumper and trigger with the same finger, but with this, if you're using the Duke controller, you kind of need to use 2 fingers just to press the buttons, or just default to the face buttons. So I will say, you know, on the comfort side of things, it's not necessarily the kind of controller that I would typically gravitate towards if I was playing an Xbox One game. In fact, I can tell you for sure, if I'm playing on Xbox One, I'm still going to use an Xbox One controller. But it is nice to have as a throwback. It is one of those things that I picked up more so just because it's like a little retro throwback. It's kind of nice to have for the collection. And it's one thing that maybe I might just use sort of for fun if I am messing around on some older games. But either way, it is a nice product. If you guys are fans of the original and say you've been with Xbox since the original days, this might be something you do want to pick up. They are also soon going to be releasing a green version of this as well, kind of like the old sort of see-through green Xbox from back in the day. So if that's your thing, then of course that's going to be available. I think it's soon. IGN did an unboxing of it a little while ago, so you can check that out if you want to see it. But for the time being, this one, you can grab it on Amazon, you can grab it on other retailers if this is something that you want. So there you have it, that is another weekly reset. That is it for the show this week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Of course, make sure you tune in every Saturday because there'll be new news, there'll be new games, there'll be new tech. And again, if there's anything you guys want me to check out, if there are games you want me to play, if there's tech you want me to buy just so you can check it out or you can see more about it before you buy it yourself, let me know. But otherwise, thank you for watching. I'll catch you guys next time.